This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It's Wednesday, April 19th, and today's pod is the best one yet. It's a T-Boy.
Yesterday, we asked the culinary question, the number one dinner question across America.
Did you have Mexican food or did you have Italian last night?
Was it Taco Tuesday or was it Tortellini Tuesday?
Jack, we rolling with burritos or did you have pizza? What'd you do?
Well, 64% of Yetis we asked on Instagram said Mexican food was their preferred cuisine.
Ipso facto, only 36% of you had Italian last night.
It was a lasagna massacre.
Actually, trick question. The correct answer is you have both.
There was marinara everywhere.
Jack, what's our first story for the pod?
The number one most listened to song in America this past weekend is Drake and The Weeknd.
But one problem, Drake and The Weeknd didn't know about this song because artificial intelligence performed the song.
For our second story, Apple just launched their biggest financial product yet.
Yeah, Apple's competitive advantage. It's fluency.
And our third and final story, Cannabis just passed a major marijuana milestone in America.
Get this, marijuana sales are now beating chocolate.
Cannabis versus cocoa. Cannabis wins.
Honestly, never thought I'd see the day.
But Yetis, before we hit that wonderful mix.
A wonderful mix of stories and fantastic work on the intro, Jack.
Do you remember that intro we did a few weeks back about the craziest cup of coffee?
It was the one about the kookiest possible cappuccino, I believe.
We were talking, of course, about the new olive oil coffee from Starbucks.
Yeah, Yetis, this was the Frappuccino with a shot of olive oil.
This was an espresso with the extra virgin stuff.
But Jack and I got to give you an update because apparently there's a problem with that latte.
It's not a coffee problem, though.
Right.
It's a tummy problem.
Get this. Early reports are that the Starbucks Oleotto olive oil coffee is creating some bowel botherings.
Some bowel botherings. That's right. Hey, barista, how do I get into the bathroom? Do you have a key?
0643. Oh, my God.
Some customers are complaining that this new concoction from Starbucks makes them have to sprint to the bathroom.
So Jack and I jumped in T-Boy style, and we discovered that there's actually a scientific explanation for this situation.
It has to do with chemistry. The chemistry in each cup of this particular coffee.
Because caffeine is a stimulant.
The olive oil is a relaxant.
Ipso facto, a stimulant plus a relaxant mixed together in one macchiato. What happens, Jack?
That's a recipe for the restroom.
According to CNN, this latte may have a laxative effect. True story.
It's like a pumpkin spiced prune juice.
So, Jack, what's the takeaway for all our buddies who are in line at Starbucks right now?
If you're feeling stuck today,
get yourself an olive oil latte. Vente.
Let's hit our three stories.
Barista, give me the 3 stories.
15 years before this song, 2 boys from the Northeast met in a dorm. They had an idea that caused a cultural storm. It's the best one yet, but the best is the norm. Jack, Nick, that's it. I don't even think they need to practice. 50%, that's a fat tip. T-Boy City on your at-list. If you know, cause we ready to go. We can't wait no more, so just start the show. Start the show.
For our first story, Drake and The Weeknd just released the biggest song of 2023. Not too shabby.
Except it was fake.
Yeah.
It was a fake AI version of Drake and The Weeknd, and now the whole music industry is fighting back.
Yetis, if we're going to talk about this story, we got to talk about the songs of the summer. Jack, there's always a hit summer song. What do we got? We got some great ones.
Party in the USA.
Call Me Maybe. It's still a summer song.
Well, the latest one was Heart on My Sleeve. That was the front runner for 2023.
Heart on My Sleeve. We just heard it. We were like, that's the summer song. Maybe you heard it, Yetis?
It's a new track featuring Drake and The Weeknd, and it's racked up 11 million views in the first weekend.
You're going to get this stuck in your head. It's got like a low piano beat, and then the unmistakable voices of Drake and The Weeknd doing a little back and forth ditty where they're chatting about Selena Gomez.
One issue, though. Drake and The Weeknd had nothing to do with that song.
Okay, one bigger issue. Drake and The Weeknd didn't even know about this song.
Heart on My Sleeve was created by an anonymous YouTuber with the name Ghostwriter977.
Heart on My Sleeve is the latest example of stunt AI?
Yeah, the answer is artificial intelligence. That's what made this song.
That's who did the song. Artificial intelligence just pulled off maybe the ultimate form of plagiarism.
Ghostwriter 977 didn't steal the song or the lyrics from Drake and The Weeknd. They stole those two musicians' voices.
This anonymous ghostwriter claims that they trained software on the two musicians' particular voices.
And then they took Drake's AI voice and The Weeknd's AI voice. This person wrote their own lyrics and put it all on top of a beat.
That was not in God's plan for Drake.
But Nick, it was like a good song. It sounded like something Drake would put out there.
It did. They created the lyrics in the style of Drake and The Weeknd. The music was in their style, and the final song was in their style. Ipso facto, this thing got 11 million views in 3 days.
Now, ghostwriters showed their own creativity. This is partially an original creation that they uploaded to YouTube.
But this rando YouTuber also tricked the entire world into thinking it was Drake and The Weeknd in real life.
Ghostwriter 977. What a prank you pulled off. Were Drake and The Weeknd impressed by this?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Jack, because Drake and The Weeknd were not impressed, but they were pissed. That's what they were.
They were pissed. Drake posted this on Instagram. Final straw, AI. Final straw.
We haven't seen Drake this angry since the Toronto Raptors missed the playoffs.
Because 11 million people listened to Drake's voice. Whether it was fake or real, it was Drake's voice. And Drake got no compensation for any of it.
We repeat, we haven't seen The Weeknd this upset since the weekday.
Universal Music, the record label behind Drake, they forced TikTok, Apple, Spotify, and YouTube to remove this song ASAP because it's illegal.
Yetis, we just listened to this song again, and you can too, because once something's on the internet, it's on the internet.
It's been uploaded on a million different YouTube channels.
So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies who are everyone in the music industry?
AI is about to face its Napster moment.
Napster. Yetis, Napster. The music download service of infamy. Anyone could download a song, any song, on Napster in 2001.
For free. And that was the problem. You didn't pay for that music you downloaded. So the artist sued to shut down Napster, and they did.
Well, just like Napster, artificial intelligence makes it pretty easy to steal musicians' work and then distribute it at an internet level for free.
That's why record labels are demanding that the music platforms protect their music and force payment for AI-modified versions of their artists' music.
And that's why the journalism industry is demanding Bing pay them if an AI chatbot uses information from their journalistic article.
If a Wall Street Journal paragraph ends up in 10 million Bing responses, Wall Street Journal wants a cut of that.
So Yetis, add all this up and you know what that means.
It looks like AI is about to face its Napster moment.
For our second story, Apple just announced it's going deeper into finance by turning your iPhone into a literal vault.
Because Apple's advantage is native fluency.
Okay, little thing Jack and I have noticed, Yetis. Apple, the brand, it is so alluring that other brands will do, just about anything to be associated with it.
Case in point, the Apple Card.
Oh, the Apple Card. Exactly.
Apple's credit card has Apple branding all over it, but Goldman Sachs is doing all the back-end financy grunt work.
Jack, it's like a tech mullet. It's like Apple Party in the front and then Goldman Business in the back.
Yeah, and Apple just announced another mullet, a new finance product called the High Yield Savings Account.
Yetis, Apple just revealed a high yield savings account. Not too shabby. Here we go.
You can park your money in your Apple savings account, which is on your iPhone, and get a 4.15% interest on that money.
Now, here's the funny thing about this new Apple savings account. They're doing it with Goldman Sachs, right, Jack? The bank, Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, Goldman does all their finance grunt.
But here's that funny thing. Apple's interest rate that they offer you is better than the Goldman Sachs interest rate, even though Goldman makes both of those products.
Yeah, it's like, Goldman, you can help us do our credit card, but only if you make our credit card better than your credit card.
Goldman Sachs is basically like the Sam to Apple's Frodo.
Apple gets all the glory of carrying the ring up the mountain, but it's Goldman who's carrying Apple up Mount Doom.
Now, Yetis, let's pause the pod for a second. Let's take a moment here. Your iPhone, it has gone from being your digital vault to your literal vault.
Your iPhone's always had all your photos, all your messages, your emails, your contacts, your calendar appointments.
But now your iPhone is your wallet too, on top of all that.
It's literally your wallet.
It's got more of your personal stuff than you do.
It's got your savings account. It's got your credit cards. It has your government-accepted identification card all in the Apple Wallet app.
No, we have to reemphasize this. You don't even have all that stuff on you. I needed my birth certificate the other day. I had to call my mom.
Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, thieves know how much is in your iPhone. And they know if they get your 4-digit combination, then they have access to your everything.
But Jack and I should point out something here that people have noticed about Apple.
You could call this a little privacy hypocrisy.
Right, because Apple CEO Tim Cook attacks other tech companies for amassing a lot of personal data about you.
But Tim Cook's tech company, Apple, it has the iPhone, which hoards all of your data, even if it's end-to-end encrypted.
Apple knows more about you than you know about you.
Then you know about you.
And the photo app is judging you. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Apple?
The advantage of every Apple product is native fluency.
Yetis, honestly, there is really nothing about this new Apple savings account that's that groundbreaking.
4.15% interest, that's great, but it's not best in market.
What is best in market is this product's fluency with your iPhone. It's convenience with your iPhone.
Every other banking app has to learn the iPhone's language, and some of those banking apps do become fluent.
But the Apple banking app, the Apple Wallet, it is the only one with a native fluency.
It has native fluency, and that's a competitive advantage.
Because you can open your Apple savings account on your iPhone in 3 seconds, not 3 minutes.
Increasingly, Apple is offering commodity products that have this convenience advantage.
It's native fluency with your iPhone, your MacBook, and your AirPods. They're all speaking the same language.
Only Apple products have it because only Apple products are native. And now a word from our sponsor, Robinhood.
The last few years, your money's been on a ride.
In 2021, the stock market boomed. In 2022, interest rates boomed.
But whether your money's in the stock market or chilling in a savings account, you always got to spend.
That's why Robinhood offers their Cash Card, a debit card that turns daily purchases into investments.
It's MasterCard branded and rounds up your change for you to invest into the stock of your choice.
If you're not spending with Robinhood yet, to get started, go to Robinhood.com/tboy.
Spending account offered through Robinhood Money, NMLS 1990968.
The Cash Card is issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to a license by MasterCard. Certain limitations apply.
Roundup services are provided by RHY. You must have a brokerage account with RHF in order to utilize investment features.
All investments involve risk.
Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. For our third and final story, it is 420 Eve. So the day before 420, we noticed that the marijuana industry is celebrating a major milestone.
Americans spend more money on cannabis than they do on chocolate. But investors don't seem to believe it.
Well, Jack, we're going to jump in T-Boy style like this. Favorite chocolate brand? What do you got? What are you thinking over there?
I don't eat milk chocolate anymore, Nick.
Why? Because you mean you scarf it down? Like you just do a different verb?
It's too milky. I don't know what to say about it, but dark is so much better.
So you have dark and then you add your own milk to the milk chocolate is what you're saying.
Well, I do add peanut butter to every chocolate I've ever had.
That is how you make a chocolate peanut butter sandwich, Jack.
Call me Reese's.
Yetis, we spent collectively as Americans $20 billion last year on chocolate. That is a good amount of chocolate.
That's $70 per American. That's like $7 a month subscription for every American in the United States just for chocolate.
And according to Jack's and my personal estimates, there's not a single American who didn't eat chocolate last year.
Believe it or not.
We haven't verified that one. That is a lot of chocolate. But last year, Yetis, it turns out we Americans spent more money on legal cannabis than chocolate for the first time.
According to MJ Business Daily, Americans spent $30 billion in 2022 on cannabis compared to $20 billion on chocolate.
It is Hershey's versus hashish out there, Jack.
And weed is beating Willy Wonka right now.
And now, Jack, before we go further, we should sprinkle on some context to this story.
Okay, so cannabis didn't just defeat chocolate in sales last year. Cannabis sold more cannabis than chocolate and craft beer combined.
Oh, and you want more? That's just the legal cannabis market, the legal weed market.
Experts think illegal weed sales still vastly outweigh legal sales at the dispensary your mother-in-law goes to every couple months.
So with one hand tied behind its back, legal marijuana is still beating the milk chocolate that Jack eats, even though he denies it, but I know he's eating it most of the time. It's probably Lindt chocolate.
I said milk chocolate I don't eat.
All right, Jack, let's take another moment here. Let's sprinkle on a little more context.
Let's look at medical marijuana versus recreational marijuana.
Well, medical marijuana sales were about 1/3 of total marijuana sales last year.
That's when a doctor gives you a prescription for weed for pain relief.
But honestly, the other 2/3 of marijuana sales, they're for recreational use, for the non-medical purposes.
For Friday night when you're watching Pineapple Express with all your buddies from college.
And for recreational marijuana, gummies and other edibles, that is the fastest growing category.
So look at weed. There's multiple use cases, medical and recreational. There's multiple products. It sounds like legalized weed is on its way to a huge business in the United States.
52% of Americans have now tried marijuana in some form or another. That is a pretty big market size, besties.
More anything, more everything.
But about everything we just said, there is something we should point out.
Let's point it out.
So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over in the cannabis industry?
There may never be a big marijuana industry.
Okay, Yetis, marijuana just passed chocolate on the list of American indulgences. That is a big deal.
But the strange thing Nick and I noticed is there's no big cannabis company. There just aren't any.
Starting 10 years ago, when Colorado and Washington legalized cannabis, hype drove a surge in cannabis valuations and IPOs.
We knew the hype had chilled, but it chilled worse than we thought.
Yeah.
Almost every publicly traded cannabis company has fallen to be worth less than $1 billion.
Jack and I were looking at the markets. There is only one cannabis unicorn left that we could find, Tilray, and that company is smaller than one Lyft.
It's like a quarter of a Lyft.
Low prices, too many suppliers, too much regulation, all of that has hurt weed profits.
So consumers are enjoying more marijuana than milk chocolate right now.
But investors don't seem convinced. Jack, can you and that pizza burrito whip up the takeaways for us over there?
Drake and The Weeknd's Heart on My Sleeve is contraband music.
And that is why AI is about to face its Napster moment.
For our second story, Apple's high-yield savings account squeezes as much juice as Goldman can possibly give.
And it's the only banking app with native Apple fluency.
And our third and final story is legal cannabis sales. In the US, they surpassed chocolate for the first time.
But honestly, there may never be a big marijuana business. Now, time for the best fact yet. This one sent in by Nick Locicero from lovely Astoria, Queens, enjoying some Greek food.
If you're walking around the West Village, Manhattan, you may miss the tiniest piece of property in all of New York City.
I literally walked by this the other day, Jack. I absolutely missed this thing. It's right by the Cigar Village.
Village Cigar.
Right, that's the one, yeah.
It's a 25 square inch triangle called Hess Triangle in the West Village right on Christopher Street.
It's a tiny piece of property, and it's basically just a plaque.
Here's the deal. 100 years ago, the city of New York took Hess's land to build the new subway.
This man, Hess, refused to turn over that land, but then the city just took it by eminent domain and built the subway station on Christopher Street right there.
But Hess refused to give up his last little triangle of land.
So he got to keep a little 2-foot triangle called the Hess Triangle.
We heard the Pascal family is going after that triangle.
The tiniest little property in all of New York.
Isosceles? Yeah, you did.
It's probably still worth millions of dollars.
Nick, stop me before I mention Pythagoras.
Yetis, you look fantastic out there. And if you haven't yet, the best way you can grow this podcast is to talk to a buddy and say, hey, HYHTBOY.
The second best part is write us a review. Nick texts me every morning that we get a new review.
Yeah, it was good.
He texts me the review and we comment on that review.
Even if it's a critical review, I share with Jack because it's just a lot of fun to share these reviews.
It's cathartic, and our therapists say it's good for us to talk about the negative reviews together.
Great podcast. Terrible hosts.
That's our favorite one.
Jack and I will see you tomorrow. And before we go, congratulations to legendary Yeti Emily Singleton.
She's celebrating 8 months of chemo for breast cancer with no evidence of the disease.
No disease. And congratulations to Morgan the Monger Schroeder, who just opened a cheese shop on Martha's Vineyard we'll take the Gruyere.
Just outside of Boston?
Across the water and just outside Boston.
An happy 26th wedding anniversary to Lori and Todd Householder in Pooler, Georgia. Congratulations to Neha and Mayer, who are celebrating their new baby girl, Jancy, in Westfield, Indiana.
And a happy 28th birthday to bestie Caleb Peterson over in Nashville, Tennessee.
John Rediker, happy birthday, man, down in Nashville, Tennessee.
And Sophia Dye is celebrating a birthday down in Chomp Chomp, Gainesville, Florida.
And happy birthday to Emily Plain on the way to work at Los Gatos, California.
And Emily, the bestie Singleton, is celebrating a birthday down in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Happy 4th birthday to Robbie Donnell in Dallas, Texas.
And Daniel Johnson Jr. is celebrating a birthday in beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio, and loves playing the T-Boy Pop Biz Pop Quiz.
You know John Roebling, the architect of the Brooklyn Bridge? He built his first great bridge in Cincinnati.
The correct answer is C.
This is Jack. Nick and I both own stock of Apple, Spotify, and Robinhood. And now a word from our sponsor, Robinhood.
We've all got that friend who's part of the in crowd.
They've gotten in at the restaurant and get hooked up with the best table.
Robinhood's Cash Card, it can give you the same VIP feeling.
It gives you access to 90,000 fee-free ATMs.
That's a hookup.
It gives you cash back when you spend on participating brands.
That's a hookup.
And it's got 24/7 phone support.
That's a hookup.
The Robinhood Cash Card is your new hookup, your guy on the inside.
If you're not spending with Robinhood yet, to get started, go to Robinhood.com/TBOY.
Spending account offered through Robinhood Money, NMLS 1990968.
The Cash Card is issued by Sudden Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to a license by MasterCard. Certain limitations apply.
All investments involve risk.
Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Sorry, dude, it's so funny. The whole time it's doing the thing where it's pausing and then it'll like catch, really quickly.
I know, I hate that.
So I'm sorry. I just haven't seen you in like 2 stories. I feel like just reminding every now and then, just because in case like you think like my reaction's weird, it's because I have no idea what you're doing right now.